The wind moved gently across the quiet sea, carrying with it the salty scent of the ocean and the soft cries of distant seabirds returning home before sunset. Far beyond the busy cities, where time seemed to slow down, stood an old white lighthouse on the edge of a peaceful cliff. It had watched over the sea for more than 100 years. Every evening, as the golden sun slowly disappeared below the horizon, the lighthouse awakened. Not because it was magical in the ordinary sense, but because it had a secret known only to the waves, the stars, and the moon. The lighthouse whispered goodnight. Its gentle light didn't simply guide ships through the darkness. It carried peaceful dreams across the ocean. The fishermen believed the warm beam protected travelers. Children believed it helped sleepy birds find their nests. Old sailors smiled whenever they saw its light, remembering stories they had heard long ago. But no one truly knew the lighthouse's greatest purpose, until one quiet autumn evening. A young traveler named Oliver arrived at the small seaside village just before sunset. Oliver wasn't searching for treasure. He wasn't running from danger. He simply wanted somewhere peaceful to rest after many years of traveling from one place to another. The villagers welcomed him warmly. Their little town was unlike anywhere he had visited before. No loud traffic, no crowded streets, only cozy cottages with flower gardens, tiny fishing boats gently floating in the harbor, and narrow stone paths lined with lavender bushes whose sweet fragrance drifted through the cool evening air. The village felt as though it belonged to another century. Everything moved slowly, kindly, peacefully. Oliver rented a small room overlooking the sea. That evening, while sipping a warm cup of chamomile tea beside the window, he noticed something unusual. The lighthouse beam seemed softer than ordinary light. Instead of shining brightly, it glowed with a warm golden color, almost like candlelight. The beam moved gracefully across the calm water. As it passed over the waves, something extraordinary happened. The sea itself became quieter. The gentle ripples relaxed. Even the wind slowed down, almost as if it were listening. Oliver leaned closer to the window. Then he heard it. Not words exactly, more like a melody, a whisper, soft enough that it blended with the ocean breeze. It sounded almost like someone saying, "Rest now. The stars are awake. Everything is safe." Oliver blinked. The whisper disappeared. Only the peaceful sound of the waves remained. He smiled to himself. Perhaps he was simply tired from traveling. Yet something deep inside told him otherwise. That night, he slept more peacefully than he had in years. No restless dreams, no worries, only endless fields of soft grass beneath a sky filled with glowing stars. When morning arrived, he woke feeling lighter than he could remember, almost as though the ocean itself had carried away every heavy thought. Over breakfast, Oliver asked the village baker about the lighthouse. The elderly baker smiled knowingly. "Ah," she said softly. "So you've heard it." Oliver looked surprised. "Heard what?" "The whisper." She poured fresh tea into his cup. "Not everyone hears it. Only those whose hearts are tired." Oliver remained silent. The baker continued. "The lighthouse has been whispering goodnight for generations. My grandmother heard it. My grandfather heard it. And now," she smiled kindly, "you have too." Oliver laughed gently. "It sounds like a fairy tale." The baker nodded. "Perhaps, but the best fairy tales are often true in ways we cannot explain." Outside, the morning sun painted golden reflections across the quiet harbor. Fishing boats drifted peacefully. Children chased butterflies near the flower gardens. Cats stretched lazily on warm stone walls. Everything felt wonderfully calm. Oliver decided he would stay one more night. Just one. Only to watch the lighthouse again. That evening, he climbed the narrow path leading toward the tall white tower. Wildflowers grew beside the trail. Lavender, bluebells, tiny white daisies dancing gently in the breeze. As the sky slowly turned shades of pink, orange, and violet, the first stars quietly appeared overhead. The lighthouse keeper was an elderly man named Elias. His silver beard moved gently with the sea breeze. His kind blue eyes sparkled like calm water beneath moonlight. "You've come because of the whisper," Elias said before Oliver could even speak. Oliver nodded. "Yes." Elias smiled. "Then perhaps," he looked toward the endless ocean, "the lighthouse has been waiting for you." The old keeper slowly unlocked the heavy wooden door. The hinges creaked softly. Inside, a spiral staircase wound upward toward the great lantern room. Each step echoed gently. Round and round they climbed, higher and higher, until they reached the glowing lantern itself. The room was breathtaking. Glass windows surrounded them in every direction. The ocean stretched endlessly beneath the evening sky. Far away, tiny fishing boats looked like glowing stars floating upon the sea. The great lantern turned slowly. Its golden light washed peacefully across the water. Then, Oliver heard the whisper again. Gentle, warm, almost like a loving parent wishing a child peaceful dreams. "Good night, little world." The stars seemed brighter, the waves quieter. The moon smiled above the sea. Oliver closed his eyes. For the first time in many years, he felt completely at home. And somewhere far beyond the horizon, the lighthouse continued whispering to every traveler, every sailor, every lonely heart, "Good night."
The morning arrived quietly, not with noisy alarms or hurried footsteps, but with the gentle song of seabirds gliding over the calm sea. The first golden rays of sunlight stretched across the water like ribbons of silk, turning every tiny wave into a sparkle of warm light. Oliver woke slowly beneath a soft linen blanket. For a few peaceful moments, he simply listened. The distant rhythm of the waves, the cheerful chirping of swallows building nests beneath the cottage roof, the faint ringing of a fishing boat's bell drifting across the harbor. Everything felt wonderfully unhurried. He breathed deeply, filling his lungs with the fresh scent of salty air mixed with blooming lavender from the garden below his window. It was the kind of morning that asked nothing of anyone, only that they notice its quiet beauty. After enjoying a simple breakfast of warm bread, honey, fresh berries, and a cup of chamomile tea, Oliver found himself thinking once again about the lighthouse, the whisper, the glowing lantern, the old keeper named Elias. There had been something comforting about him, as though he carried many stories without ever needing to speak loudly. Drawn by curiosity rather than urgency, Oliver followed the winding stone path back toward the tall white tower standing proudly above the cliffs. The sea breeze greeted him like an old friend. Wildflowers danced beside the trail. Tiny butterflies floated lazily through the warm morning air. The ocean stretched endlessly below, peaceful beneath the bright blue sky. As Oliver approached, he noticed Elias sitting outside the lighthouse on a weathered wooden bench. A small kettle rested beside him, gently steaming over a tiny iron stove. He smiled before Oliver even spoke. "I thought you might return." Oliver smiled back. "I've been thinking about the whisper." Elias nodded slowly, pouring tea into two simple porcelain cups. "Most people who hear it do." He handed one cup to Oliver. The tea smelled of mint, chamomile, and something sweet Oliver couldn't quite recognize. Perhaps wildflowers, perhaps honey, perhaps simply the sea air itself. For a while, neither of them spoke. Instead, they watched the waves. Some conversations Oliver realized didn't need words. Finally, Elias broke the silence. "Do you know why lighthouses were built?" "To guide ships," Oliver answered. "Yes?" The old keeper smiled. but sometimes they guide hearts too. Oliver looked toward the endless horizon. I've traveled for many years. I know. I've visited mountains, cities, forests, deserts. I've seen wonderful places. Elias listened quietly, but somehow Oliver paused. I've never truly rested. The old keeper nodded gently. Many people spend their lives searching for beautiful places. He looked toward the sea. Very few learn how to become peaceful wherever they are. The words drifted into the wind. Oliver let them settle gently inside his thoughts. After finishing their tea, Elias invited Oliver inside the lighthouse. Unlike the evening before, sunlight now streamed through every window. The spiral staircase seemed brighter. The stone walls glowed softly. Halfway up the tower stood a small wooden door Oliver hadn't noticed before. Elias opened it carefully. Inside was a tiny circular room. Books filled every shelf. Old maps rested inside polished wooden drawers. Pressed flowers lay between yellowed pages. Tiny seashells decorated the windowsill. A rocking chair stood beside a small fireplace. The room smelled of cedar wood, old paper, lavender, and warm tea. It felt less like a library and more like a place where time itself had decided to rest. "What is this room?" Oliver whispered. Elias smiled. "My favorite place." He carefully removed an old leather-bound journal from one of the shelves. The cover had faded with age. Its pages were soft from many years of gentle turning. "This journal," Elias said quietly, "has belonged to every lighthouse keeper before me." Oliver looked surprised. Every keeper. For more than 100 years. He slowly opened the first page. Beautiful handwriting covered the paper. Not reports, not weather records, but stories, simple stories, about peaceful evenings, gentle storms, friendly dolphins, moonlit gardens, children laughing beside the shore, letters written by travelers who had once stayed in the village. Each page held a memory worth remembering. Elias turned another page. "This one was written by my grandfather." Oliver leaned closer. The old handwriting read, "Tonight the sea was perfectly calm. A frightened little girl arrived with her family after a long journey. Before bedtime, she sat beneath the lighthouse and counted stars until she smiled again." Another page. "An old sailor returned after 30 years away. He said the lighthouse still sounded exactly as he remembered." Another. "The moon seemed brighter tonight, perhaps because someone needed hope." Oliver smiled softly. The journal wasn't about extraordinary adventures, it celebrated ordinary moments. The quiet ones, the ones many people hurried past without noticing. "Why write these?" Oliver asked. Elias gently closed the journal. "Because peaceful moments disappear if no one remembers them." He looked toward the window where sunlight shimmered upon the sea. "The world often remembers its loudest days, the storms, the battles, the tragedies. But happiness," he smiled kindly, "happiness usually arrives very quietly." Oliver thought about his own life. He remembered trains, hotels, busy streets, crowded stations, meetings, schedules, always moving, always planning the next destination. Yet he struggled to remember mornings like this one, simple mornings, gentle mornings. Perhaps they had been there all along. He had simply walked too quickly to notice. As afternoon slowly drifted toward evening, Elias suggested they take a walk along the cliffs. The narrow trail overlooked endless blue water. Below them, gentle waves kissed smooth stones polished by countless years. White seabirds floated effortlessly upon the breeze. The sun warmed their shoulders without becoming too hot. Every few steps, Elias paused. Not because he was tired, but because there was always something beautiful worth seeing. A tiny purple flower growing from solid rock, a butterfly resting upon tall grass, A family of rabbits quietly watching from beneath a blackberry bush, a feather drifting gently through the air. "People think peace is somewhere far away," Elias said softly, "but peace usually hides inside very small things." Oliver smiled. "The flower, the butterfly, the feather," Elias nodded. "And this walk."
By the time they returned to the lighthouse, the sky had become a watercolor painting of soft gold, pale pink, and gentle lavender. The first evening star appeared above the horizon. Elias climbed the spiral stairs to prepare the great lantern. Oliver followed. The familiar glow slowly awakened. Golden, warm, steady. As darkness gently settled across the sea, the lighthouse began its nightly watch. The lantern turned. Its beams stretched across the quiet ocean. Then, almost too softly to hear, the whisper returned. "Rest now. The sea is calm. Tomorrow will arrive when morning is ready." Oliver closed his eyes. The words seemed to drift through every gentle wave, every breeze, every star appearing above. For the first time, he wondered whether the whisper wasn't coming from the lighthouse at all. Perhaps it was coming from the peaceful world around it. And perhaps the lighthouse simply reminded people how to listen. Above them, thousands of stars quietly filled the night sky. Below them, the sea answered with its endless, soothing rhythm. And high inside the lantern room, where golden light circled the silent ocean, Oliver felt another small piece of his restless heart become wonderfully still.
The third morning arrived wrapped in a veil of silver mist. The sea seemed to breathe softly beneath the cliffs, and the horizon had almost disappeared into a blanket of pale blue. Tiny droplets of dew rested on every blade of grass, sparkling whenever the first rays of sunlight found them. Oliver woke before the village bells rang. For a few quiet moments, he simply lay still beneath the warm blanket, listening. The gentle rhythm of waves rolling against the shore, the flutter of gulls stretching their wings, the whisper of wind brushing against the cottage window. Everything around him seemed to move with calm purpose. There was no hurry, no schedule waiting to be followed. Only another peaceful day beginning beside the sea. He smiled to himself. It had been many years since waking up had felt this gentle. After breakfast, Oliver wandered through the narrow stone streets of the village. The baker had already opened her tiny shop, and the comforting scent of fresh bread drifted into the cool morning air. A florist carefully arranged white daisies, lavender, and pale blue hydrangeas into wooden buckets outside her little store. Children quietly carried baskets to the harbor, waving cheerfully as they passed. An elderly man sat outside his cottage carving small wooden sailboats while humming an old melody. Everywhere Oliver looked, life unfolded slowly. Nobody rushed, nobody shouted. The village seemed to understand something the rest of the world had forgotten. As Oliver reached the lighthouse, Elias was trimming wild herbs growing beside the stone wall. Bundles of rosemary, thyme, mint, and lavender hung from wooden beams, gently drying in the sea breeze. "Good morning," Elias said warmly. "You seem lighter today?" Oliver nodded. "I slept as though the ocean itself was rocking me." The old keeper smiled. "The lighthouse often helps people remember how to rest." Oliver laughed softly. "I think I'm beginning to believe you." Elias set down his small gardening shears. "Today," he said, "I'd like to show you a place very few visitors ever see." They followed a narrow footpath that curved behind the lighthouse. The trail disappeared beneath tall pine trees whose branches swayed gently overhead. Birdsong echoed through the quiet forest. The air smelled wonderfully fresh. Pine needles covered the ground like a soft green carpet. Sunlight filtered through the branches in long, golden beams. Oliver noticed tiny mushrooms growing beside old tree roots. Squirrels leaped gracefully from branch to branch. Every few minutes they crossed small wooden bridges where crystal-clear streams trickled over smooth stones. The farther they walked, the quieter everything became. Even the wind seemed softer here. After nearly half an hour, the forest opened into a hidden meadow, unlike anything Oliver had ever seen. Thousands of flowers covered the gentle hillside: white blossoms, blue blossoms, golden blossoms, soft pink blossoms dancing peacefully in the breeze. Butterflies floated lazily above the colorful sea of petals. Honeybees hummed quietly from flower to flower. At the center of the meadow stood an ancient stone fountain. Its water flowed so gently that it sounded almost like whispered music. Oliver turned slowly in wonder. "This place is beautiful," Elias smiled. "It has been here longer than the lighthouse, but that's not why we came." He pointed toward a circle of green vines climbing an old wooden archway. "They bloom only after sunset." Oliver looked closely. The vines held hundreds of closed flower buds. "They don't look very special." "They aren't," Elias replied with a smile. "Not yet."
The two men spent the afternoon in the hidden garden. They sat beneath the shade of an enormous oak tree, while Elias told quiet stories from years gone by. He spoke of sailors who had found hope after long storms, of children who grew into lighthouse keepers, of birds that returned every spring to the same old branches. None of the stories contained grand adventures, yet each one carried a simple warmth, the kind that settled gently inside the heart. Oliver found himself speaking less and listening more. He realized that silence no longer felt empty. It felt comforting, like sitting beside an old friend who understood everything without needing explanations. As evening slowly approached, the sky transformed into delicate shades of peach and lavender. The first stars appeared one by one above the treetops. Elias stood and brushed the grass from his coat. "It's almost time." Oliver looked toward the vines. Nothing had changed. The buds remained tightly closed. The meadow had grown quieter. Even the birds seemed to know something special was about to happen. Then the moon rose above the eastern hills. Its gentle silver light spilled across the garden. Almost immediately, one tiny flower began to open, then another, and another. Within minutes, hundreds of white blossoms unfolded beneath the moonlight. The hidden meadow glowed. Each flower reflected the silver light until the entire hillside shimmered like a field of tiny stars. Oliver could hardly believe his eyes. "They're incredible." Elias nodded quietly. "They're called moonflowers. They sleep all day and bloom only for the night." The sweet fragrance drifting through the air was unlike any flower Oliver had ever smelled. Soft, warm, gentle, almost like vanilla mixed with jasmine and fresh rain. The scent seemed to calm every thought in his mind. They walked slowly among the glowing flowers. Fireflies appeared, floating gently through the meadow like tiny golden lanterns. Some settled briefly upon the white blossoms before drifting back into the warm summer air. Above them, the Milky Way stretched across the night sky in breathtaking silence. Oliver looked upward. "I've never seen so many stars." Elias smiled. "Most people never do. They're too busy looking down." Oliver stood quietly. The old keeper's words lingered in the still night air. Perhaps peace had never been hidden. Perhaps people simply forgot where to look. Near the center of the garden stood a smooth stone bench. Elias invited Oliver to sit. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. The moonflowers swayed gently. The fountain continued its quiet song. A cool breeze carried the fragrance of blossoms across the meadow. Finally, Elias asked softly, "When was the last time you spent an entire evening doing nothing?" Oliver thought carefully. He couldn't remember. There had always been somewhere to go, something to finish, someone waiting. Deadlines, plans, trains, airports, roads. Always another destination, always another tomorrow, never simply tonight. He smiled gently. "I think this may be the first." Elias nodded as though he had expected that answer. The world teaches us how to work. It rarely teaches us how to rest. The moon climbed higher into the sky. The white blossoms shone even brighter. Somewhere in the distance, an owl called softly from the forest. The sound echoed gently before disappearing into the peaceful night. Oliver closed his eyes. He took one slow, deep breath, then another. The cool night air filled his lungs with the sweet fragrance of moonflowers. His shoulders relaxed. His thoughts became lighter. It felt as though every worry he had carried across countless miles was quietly dissolving into the evening breeze. When he opened his eyes again, Elias was smiling. "The garden has accepted you." "What do you mean?" "The moonflowers bloom brightest for those who are learning to be still." Oliver looked around. The blossoms indeed seemed brighter than before. Or perhaps he had simply begun to notice their light. Together they walked back toward the lighthouse, beneath a sky overflowing with stars. The forest seemed almost magical in the moonlight. Silver beams filtered through the pine branches. The small stream sparkled beside the path. Crickets sang their gentle nighttime chorus. As the lighthouse finally came into view, its warm golden beams swept slowly across the quiet sea. Once again, the familiar whisper drifted through the cool ocean breeze. "Good night. Rest peacefully. Tomorrow will bring its own gentle light." Oliver smiled without opening his eyes. This time, he did not wonder where the whisper came from. Whether it was the lighthouse, the sea, the wind, or simply his own heart growing quieter, it no longer mattered, because every peaceful voice was saying exactly the same thing. The night was safe, the world was calm, and sleep was gently waiting just beyond the sound of the waves.
The fourth morning arrived with the soft glow of dawn spreading gently across the sea. The horizon shimmered with shades of pale gold and quiet blue, as though the sky itself had awakened slowly, careful not to disturb the sleeping world below. The lighthouse stood peacefully upon its cliff, its lantern now resting after another night of faithful watch. A gentle breeze carried the scent of salt, wildflowers, and fresh pine through the village. Oliver stepped outside with a warm cup of chamomile tea in his hands. He no longer felt like a visitor. The cobbled streets, the little cottages, the cheerful harbor, and even the distant cry of the gulls had become wonderfully familiar. It was strange how quickly a peaceful place could begin to feel like home. As he reached the lighthouse, Elias was carefully polishing an old brass lantern. The morning sunlight danced upon its golden surface. "Good morning," Elias said with a gentle smile. "You slept well?" Oliver nodded. "I don't remember dreaming." The old keeper chuckled softly. "Sometimes the deepest sleep is the quietest one." He placed the lantern on a wooden table. "Tonight," he continued, "the sea will be as calm as glass." Oliver looked toward the endless blue water. "It already seems peaceful." "It will become even quieter after sunset." Elias smiled. And if you'd like, we'll take a small journey." "A journey?" "Yes. Not far. Just far enough." The day passed slowly, as peaceful days often do. Oliver helped the villagers repair fishing nets beneath the shade of a large oak tree. Children laughed quietly while collecting smooth seashells along the shore. The baker invited everyone to share warm cinnamon bread fresh from the oven. Even the village cats seemed to spend the afternoon lazily sleeping beneath flower pots, warmed by the sun. There was no rush, no clock. Anyone seemed eager to obey. Time drifted gently like clouds crossing a summer sky. Oliver found himself smiling more than he had in years, not because something extraordinary had happened, but because nothing needed to happen at all. As evening approached, the sky became a masterpiece of soft colors. Golden sunlight slowly faded into peach. Peach melted into lavender. Lavender deepened into rich indigo as the first stars quietly appeared. Elias waited beside a small wooden boat tied gently to the harbor dock. It was simple but beautiful. Its polished oak sides reflected the fading light. A small lantern hung from the bow. A neatly folded wool blanket rested inside beside two cushions. "This boat has crossed these waters for nearly 70 years, Elias said. "It belonged to my father." Oliver carefully stepped aboard. The boat rocked gently beneath his feet. There was something comforting about its slow movement. Elias untied the rope. Without hurry, he pushed away from the dock. The boat drifted silently into the quiet evening sea. The water was astonishingly calm. Its surface reflected the sky so perfectly that it became impossible to tell where the sea ended and the heavens began. The boat seemed to float between two worlds, one above, one below. Stars shimmered beneath them as clearly as they sparkled overhead. Oliver gazed around in wonder. "It's beautiful." Elias nodded. "The sea becomes a mirror when the wind decides to rest." The only sounds were the gentle dipping of the oars and the quiet rhythm of water touching the wooden hull. Neither sound disturbed the silence. Instead, they became part of it, like a peaceful lullaby.
For a long while they drifted without speaking. Far behind them, the lighthouse continued turning slowly. Its warm golden beams swept gracefully across the ocean. Every few moments its light reached the little boat before moving quietly onward into the darkness. Oliver watched the familiar glow. "It never stops." Elias smiled. "No. Every night, for every traveler, for every sailor, for every soul still searching for home." Oliver thought about those words. Perhaps everyone was searching for home in one way or another. Some searched across oceans, some searched through busy cities, others searched inside themselves. A family of dolphins suddenly appeared beside the boat. They surfaced gracefully, breathing softly before disappearing beneath the silver water. Moments later, they returned again, swimming effortlessly alongside them. Oliver laughed quietly. "They're beautiful." "They often visit peaceful nights," Elias replied. "They're curious." One young dolphin leaped gently into the moonlight. Tiny drops of water sparkled like diamonds before falling silently back into the sea. The dolphins remained beside the boat for several peaceful minutes. Then, just as quietly as they had arrived, they slipped beneath the water and disappeared into the night. Oliver watched the ripples slowly fade. "It feels as though the sea is welcoming us." Elias simply smiled. "I believe it is." Soon they reached a quiet part of the bay where the water became perfectly still. Elias rested the oars across the boat. The little vessel drifted effortlessly. The moon had climbed high above them now. Its silver light painted everything with gentle calm. Oliver lay back against the folded blanket. Above him stretched countless stars. He had never seen so many. The Milky Way arched gracefully across the heavens like a river of soft light. Tiny constellations sparkled in every direction, some bright, some faint, all impossibly beautiful. "Do you know," Elias whispered, That sailors once crossed entire oceans guided only by these stars? Oliver nodded. They trusted the sky. They trusted patience. They understood that not every journey required speed. The old keeper pointed upward. See that bright star? Oliver followed his finger. Long ago, Elias said softly, my father told me something I'll never forget. What was it? He said, stars never hurry across the sky, yet somehow, they always arrive exactly where they belong. Oliver repeated the words silently. They settled gently inside his heart. The boat rocked almost imperceptibly. The gentle movement reminded Oliver of being cradled as a child. His eyelids became pleasantly heavy. His breathing slowed. The sea seemed to breathe with him. In and out. Slowly. Calmly. The cool night air carried the familiar scent of salt and lavender from the distant cliffs. Far away, the lighthouse whispered once again, "Good night. You have traveled far. Now simply rest." Oliver closed his eyes. For the first time in many years, he no longer thought about where he would go next. He no longer wondered what tomorrow might bring. He simply floated upon the quiet sea beneath a sky overflowing with stars. And somehow, that was enough. After some time, Elias gently picked up the oars once more. Without speaking, he guided the little boat back toward the harbor. The lighthouse grew brighter as they approached. Its warm beam welcomed them home, just as it had welcomed countless travelers before them. The village lay peacefully asleep. Tiny lights glowed softly behind cottage windows. The flowers rested beneath the moonlight. Even the sea seemed reluctant to make a sound. As Oliver stepped onto the wooden dock, he turned once more toward the endless ocean. He realized that peace was not something hidden in distant places. It was something that appeared quietly, whenever the heart became still enough to notice it. Together, he and Elias walked slowly back toward the lighthouse. Above them, the stars continued their silent journey across the night sky. Below them, gentle waves kissed the shore with the same soothing rhythm they had sung for centuries. And somewhere between the sea, the sky, and the warm golden light of the lighthouse, another peaceful night wrapped the little village in perfect, dream-filled silence.
Several peaceful days had passed since Oliver first arrived at the little village by the sea. The hurried traveler who had stepped off the old coastal road now felt like someone entirely different. His footsteps had become slower, his breathing had become deeper. His thoughts no longer raced ahead to tomorrow. Instead, they rested gently in the quiet beauty of each passing day. Every morning began with the gentle cry of seabirds. Every afternoon carried the sweet fragrance of lavender drifting through the village, and every evening ended beneath the warm, comforting glow of the old lighthouse. Oliver had begun to understand something wonderful. Peace was not found, it was remembered. One cool afternoon, as golden sunlight stretched across the cliffs, Elias invited Oliver to climb the lighthouse once more. "The sky will be especially clear tonight," the old keeper said. "There is something I would like you to see." Oliver followed him up the familiar spiral staircase. Each worn stone step seemed to hold the memory of countless quiet evenings. At the top, the great lantern rested silently, waiting for sunset. Together they opened the tall windows of the lantern room. Fresh sea air drifted inside, carrying with it the distant scent of pine forests and wild rosemary growing along the cliffs. Far below, gentle waves rolled lazily toward the shore. Fishing boats were returning home one by one, their small sails glowing softly in the afternoon light. "It feels different now," Oliver said quietly. "What does?" "This place. When I first arrived, it felt mysterious," he smiled. Now it feels familiar. Elias nodded. The greatest mysteries often become our closest friends. As the sun slowly sank toward the horizon, the sky became a masterpiece of quiet colors. Soft amber, rose pink, gentle lavender. Finally, a deep velvet blue stretched across the heavens. The first stars appeared, then another, and another. Soon the entire sky shimmered like a blanket of tiny diamonds. Elias lit the great lantern. Its warm golden beam began its slow journey across the calm sea. The familiar whisper drifted through the room. "Good night. The world has done enough for today. Now let it rest." Oliver smiled. The whisper no longer surprised him. It felt like the voice of an old friend. As darkness deepened, Elias pointed toward the eastern sky. "Watch carefully." Oliver looked up. For several quiet moments, nothing happened. Then, a single streak of silver light crossed the heavens. It disappeared almost as quickly as it had appeared. "A shooting star," Oliver whispered. Before the words had fully left his lips, another followed, then another. Soon, dozens of brilliant meteors swept silently across the night sky. Some were long and graceful, others were brief flashes of light. Each one left behind a glowing trail that faded gently into the darkness. Oliver had never seen anything so breathtaking. The stars seemed to be dancing. The sea reflected every streak of light, creating the illusion that the heavens existed both above and below. It was as though the entire universe had become one endless ocean of stars. The village remained wonderfully quiet. No one hurried outside. No loud voices broke the silence. The people simply stepped onto their porches or sat quietly in their gardens, watching the sky together. Some held warm mugs of tea. Others wrapped themselves in soft blankets. Parents gently pointed toward the falling stars while children leaned against their shoulders. Nobody needed to speak. Some moments were too beautiful for words. Oliver stood beside the lighthouse window, unable to look away. "I've never seen so many." Elias smiled. "This happens only once each year." "The stars remind us that even the heavens enjoy celebrating." Oliver laughed softly. "I always thought shooting stars disappeared." "They do, but not before reminding us to look up." The old keeper rested one hand upon the wooden railing. "So many people spend their lives staring at clocks. They forget to watch the sky." Oliver looked upward once more. Perhaps that was true. How many sunsets had he hurried past? How many moonlit evenings had he spent indoors? How many beautiful nights had gone unnoticed while he worried about tomorrow? Far too many. For nearly an hour, they simply watched. One meteor after another crossed the heavens, some bright enough to briefly illuminate the cliffs, others so delicate they resembled tiny whispers of silver. The lighthouse lantern continued turning peacefully. Its warm glow blended beautifully with the cool light of the stars. The sea answered with its endless rhythm, wave after wave, slow, gentle, steady. Oliver closed his eyes for a moment. The sounds around him became wonderfully simple. The whisper of the ocean, the quiet turning of the lantern, the soft breeze drifting through the open windows, his own slow breathing. Nothing else, nothing more was needed. After a while, Elias spoke in little more than a whisper. "When I was a young man, I asked my grandfather why the stars never frightened him." "What did he say?" Oliver asked. The old keeper smiled as though remembering a treasured memory. "He told me, darkness has never belonged to fear, it belongs to rest. Without night, the flowers could not sleep, the birds could not dream, and neither could we." Oliver repeated the words silently. They felt true. The night was not empty. It was gentle. It offered the world permission to slow down, permission to breathe, permission simply to be. As midnight approached, the shower of falling stars slowly began to fade. One by one, the brilliant streaks became fewer. The sky returned to its peaceful stillness. The moon now shone brightly above the sea, bathing the cliffs in soft silver light. The lighthouse continued its quiet watch. Its beams swept across the sleeping ocean with the same patient rhythm it had followed for more than a century. Oliver rested both hands upon the windowsill. For the first time in many years, his heart felt wonderfully light. The worries that had once seemed so heavy now felt distant, like clouds carried far away by the wind. He realized that nothing extraordinary had happened during his stay. There had been no grand adventure, no hidden treasure, no dramatic rescue, only quiet mornings, peaceful evenings, gentle conversations, moonlit walks, warm tea, the sound of waves, the kindness of strangers who soon felt like family. And somehow, those simple moments had changed him more than any great adventure ever could. When it was finally time to leave the lantern room, Oliver paused at the doorway. He looked back one last time at the glowing light, the endless sea and the sky filled with silent stars. The whisper reached him once again, softer than the wind, gentler than the waves. Sleep peacefully. Every tomorrow begins with a quiet night. Oliver smiled. He no longer wondered whether the whisper came from the lighthouse. He understood now. Peace had always been inside him. The lighthouse had simply helped him hear it again. Together, he and Elias descended the winding staircase. Outside, the village slept beneath a sky still sparkling with countless stars. The sea continued its timeless lullaby. And somewhere beyond the horizon, morning patiently waited for its turn to arrive. But for now, the night belonged to stillness, to dreams, and to the quiet promise that every ending is also the beginning of another peaceful dawn.
The final morning arrived as gently as every morning before it. The sea was calm beneath a sky brushed with pale shades of gold and soft blue. A light mist floated just above the water, and the lighthouse stood peacefully upon its cliff, its white walls glowing in the warmth of the rising sun. Oliver opened his eyes before the village bells chimed. For a long moment, he remained still, listening to the familiar sounds that had become part of his heart. The quiet rhythm of the waves, the cheerful song of robins greeting the dawn, the gentle breeze rustling through the lavender fields, the distant laughter of fishermen preparing their boats. Everything felt wonderfully peaceful. Yet this morning carried something new. It carried the quiet feeling that every beautiful journey eventually reaches its resting place. Oliver folded his blanket neatly and opened the cottage window. Fresh ocean air filled the room. He breathed deeply. Only a few days earlier, he had arrived carrying invisible burdens, unfinished thoughts, endless plans, and a restless heart that never seemed able to slow down. Now, those burdens felt as though they had quietly dissolved into the sea breeze. He smiled, not because everything in life had become perfect, but because he had discovered something even more valuable. He had learned how to be still. After breakfast, he walked slowly toward the lighthouse one final time. Every familiar place greeted him like an old friend. The little bakery where warm bread cooled upon wooden shelves. The flower garden where butterflies floated lazily among the blossoms. The harbor where fishing boats gently rocked upon the calm water. Children waved as they skipped along the stone paths. An elderly woman watered bright blue hydrangeas outside her cottage. A sleepy orange cat stretched lazily in a patch of morning sunshine. Oliver noticed every little detail. He wondered how many beautiful moments he had once hurried past without ever seeing them. Elias was waiting beside the lighthouse door, as though he had known Oliver would arrive at exactly that moment. Without saying a word, The old keeper offered him a warm cup of herbal tea. Together, they sat upon the familiar wooden bench overlooking the endless sea. For several peaceful minutes, neither of them spoke. The silence between friends never felt empty. It felt complete. Finally, Oliver broke the silence. "I think it's time for me to continue my journey." Elias nodded gently. "I believe you're right." Oliver looked toward the lighthouse. "I'll miss this place." The old keeper smiled. "And this place will miss you." A small breeze drifted across the cliffs, carrying with it the scent of rosemary and salt. Oliver watched a pair of white seabirds gliding effortlessly over the waves. "They make it look so easy," he said softly. "They trust the wind," Elias replied. "They don't try to control it." Oliver smiled. "I've spent so much of my life trying to control everything. The future, my plans, my destination." Elias looked toward the horizon. "The sea has taught sailors something important." "What is that?" "You cannot command the wind, but you can learn to sail with it." Oliver quietly repeated the words. They felt wonderfully true.
The old keeper stood and disappeared briefly inside the lighthouse. When he returned, he carried a small wooden box, polished smooth by many years of careful hands. He placed it gently upon Oliver's lap. "This belongs to you now." Oliver looked surprised. "I can't accept this." "You can. It has been waiting." Carefully, Oliver opened the little box. Inside rested a simple brass compass. Its surface was beautifully worn with age. The needle moved slowly before settling toward the north. Beneath the compass lay a folded piece of cream-colored paper. Oliver unfolded it carefully. Written in elegant handwriting were only a few words. "Whenever your heart grows restless, slow your steps, look toward the sky, listen to the sea, and remember, home is not always a place. Sometimes, home is the quiet you carry within you." Oliver felt a gentle warmth spread through his heart. It was the simplest gift he had ever received, and perhaps the most valuable. As the afternoon drifted peacefully by, the villagers gathered near the harbor. No grand celebration had been planned, no speeches were given. Instead, everyone shared what they had always shared: kindness. The baker handed Oliver a loaf of fresh bread wrapped in soft linen. The florist tucked a small bundle of dried lavender into his travel bag. The children gave him a smooth white seashell they had found that morning. "To remember the ocean," they said with bright smiles. Oliver thanked each of them warmly. He realized that the greatest treasures could never be bought. They were given freely, through friendship, through quiet moments, through simple acts of kindness. As evening slowly approached, Oliver climbed the lighthouse one final time. The familiar spiral staircase welcomed him upward, step by step, round and round, until he reached the lantern room. The windows glowed with the soft light of sunset. Far below, the sea shimmered like liquid gold. Elias lit the great lantern. Once again, its warm beam began sweeping across the quiet ocean. Oliver stood beside the window, watching the light travel farther and farther into the gathering night. "I used to think this lighthouse guided ships," he said softly. Elias smiled. "And now, I think it reminds people to find their way back to themselves." The old keeper's eyes sparkled. "I couldn't have said it better." Night settled gently over the village. Stars appeared one by one. The moon rose slowly above the calm sea. The lighthouse whispered its familiar blessing. "Good night. Rest without worry. Morning always knows when to arrive." Oliver closed his eyes. This time he heard something more. Not another voice, not another secret. Only the peaceful silence that now lived inside his own heart. He finally understood. The whisper had never been about magic. It had been about attention. The lighthouse did not create peace. It simply reminded people to notice the peace that had been quietly surrounding them all along. The sound of gentle waves, the warmth of shared tea, the beauty of moonlit flowers, the kindness of strangers, the comfort of silence, the miracle of an ordinary day. The next morning, Oliver shouldered his travel bag. The little brass compass rested safely inside. As he reached the edge of the village, he turned for one last look. The lighthouse stood proudly above the cliffs. Its white walls gleamed beneath the morning sun. Elias raised one hand in farewell. Oliver smiled and returned the gesture. Then he continued down the quiet coastal road. He did not know exactly where it would lead. For the first time in many years, he didn't need to know. The journey itself was enough.
Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Oliver traveled through peaceful valleys, quiet forests, and gentle seaside towns. Wherever he went, people noticed something different about him. He listened carefully. He smiled often. He never hurried. On warm evenings, he would sit beneath the stars with a cup of tea, breathing slowly as the wind moved through the trees. Sometimes he would take out the little brass compass, not because he had lost his direction, but to remember that the truest direction is not found on any map. It is found within a peaceful heart. And whenever the night became still enough, whenever the breeze carried the scent of salt or lavender, whenever the stars shone brightly above, Oliver could almost hear a familiar whisper carried gently across the world. Good night. The sea is calm. The stars are watching. Everything is exactly as it should be. Sleep peacefully. You are home. The waves continued their timeless lullaby. The lighthouse continued its faithful watch. And somewhere, beyond the quiet horizon where the sea met the stars, another peaceful night gently wrapped the world in warmth, comfort, and dreams. So, if you ever find yourself awake beneath a sky full of stars, if you hear the whisper of the wind through the trees, or the gentle rhythm of waves upon a distant shore, pause for just a moment. Take one slow, peaceful breath. Look up at the endless sky, and remember, no matter where your journey leads, there is always a quiet place waiting inside your heart. Good night. Sleep well, and may your dreams be as peaceful as the little lighthouse that never stopped whispering to the sea.